Some of them are still laying down and chewing their cud, and they're no worse for the wear despite deeply freezing temperatures. Sorry, I keep switching my hands and the camera so I can pull my fingers back into my gloves and warm them up inside the palm of my hand. And you kind of just saw that ewe was putting Shep in her place. But we're going to feed some hay and get these guys going for the day. With the extreme cold, I will talk about this. You can see these guys coming over here. I just wanted to make sure they had all the energy they needed. This is my baby ram right here. And I got just a molasses tub, just for a little shot of energy and protein. See, even the dogs like it. But it's just going to help them, make it through this extreme cold stretch. But the water system is still functioning just fine. Part of it is I leave this open all the time unless I'm filling it, so that this pipe doesn't freeze shut with water sitting in it. And then obviously the well stays at a tropical 55 degrees, the water temp. So it maintains that thermal mass on the ride out here, I'd say. I don't know if I sat here and yacked before I filled the water up, I think perhaps that pipe might freeze in this temperature. I think it's negative 15 without the wind chill right now, and but anyway, I'm still making this work through the winter, despite some of these plunges downward in temperature. But, all right, let's go feed some hay, and we'll return to this. Last night, my neighbor up the hill that way called me about my guard dogs barking at him, or barking down below the hill. And he's got a couple kids, so I'm trying to be sensitive to that, but I kind of just explained, hey, these dogs are out there to keep my livestock safe, and really sorry they're bothering you. We'll do our best to move the feed further away from where you live, so the sheep will move away, and then maybe the dogs will get a little bit further away. But it's been kind of rolling around in my head a little bit since last night, this issue of the partitioning of the countryside and its impacts to producers. And I say this with full knowledge that not 5 years ago, I was one of these dips that moved out to the country. But particularly what I'm seeing just a little bit more is these, small farms being bought and then cut into 5-acre pieces. And then people moving out for the country life, which I can totally understand that desire. I had it myself. But the incongruity of it is where they don't want to try to understand the country lifestyle. And I don't mean that like a magazine. I mean like, most people in the country that are on working farms are here to make a living. And I'm not quite making a living to where I can quit my job, but I'm heading that way. And it's just, I hadn't thought about it in a while since I've been out here for a few years, and it just kind of hit me. The reality of it struck me talking to this fella, and he's very nice. I'm not saying that, but his concern is the dog is barking. It's keeping me up, and yeah, the livestock need protection. Yeah, but the dog is barking. Yeah, that's what they do. That's how they, and I said I'd do my best, but I didn't make any promises, because in the end, these dogs got to be out here. I mean, they just do. And it's just, there's a difference in attitude and mindset of people who want to live out in the country and people who want to work out in the country, I guess, is what I've noticed. And I wish there was some way to stop it, as far as the partitioning and dividing and vacation homing of the countryside, and the only thing I can think of is win the lottery and buy the countryside. But since I don't buy lottery tickets, I don't think that's going to happen. So, at that point, you just manage the relationship with your neighbors as best you can and hope they understand, and maybe swing by and I'll give them a chicken when our pasture chickens are, processed and run, and maybe, we'll achieve a better understanding together. But yeah, I mean, when I moved out to the country, I knew that I would be viewed as an outsider, which is normal because I came from the city. I didn't come from a farming family. And so one of the things I determined to do was to not try to bring my values and my mindset of living cheek by jowl with people out here, and instead come with an open mind to, the way things are done in the countryside and why they're done that way. And that's been tremendously beneficial as far as like building relationships with other farmers and building trust and really establishing myself as part of a community out here. And, that portion's been rolling around in my head a little bit too, because I've seen some great comments of people like, I'm looking to lease land, I'm looking to buy land, I'm excited to get going. I think that's great. I think the death of the family farm in the 80s was one of the worst things to happen to this country. And to see an exodus from the city out to the country can be great, as long as it's not poison pilled by bringing a city mindset to the countryside, So I think it can be a very great and beneficial thing if you build relationships with people already here, understand their way of life, try to join that way of life, take what's good in it, and what you disagree with, don't throw it in people's faces, and really embed yourself in a community that you need to understand. I needed to understand already existed. So, all right, my rant is over. Long story short, the neighbor doesn't like the barking dogs. There's nothing I can do about it unless I want to let the coyotes eat my sheep. But I will try to make him happy with some chicken. Okay. Well, it's cold. Sorry if my voice sounds a little muffled. It's cold when I was driving over here with some water, and the wind was coming kind of across. Hang on, I gotta take that bandana off. The wind was coming across my face from north to south, and my left eye teared up and then subsequently froze shut. I had to stop and take my glove off and use the warmth of my hand to unfreeze my eye so I could see out of it. I think that's the first time that's happened to me this winter, and it was a little unsettling, if I'm being honest. But it just makes, when I pulled up and see these animals thriving still, so much more impressive. Just so much more impressive. It's very cool. So they're gonna get a little more hay, and they've wasted a little bit, I'm sure you can see, but it also gives them something to lay on out here. It's relatively calm now. There is a slight breeze, but nothing crazy. But with the trees on this side and this side, it is relatively calm, kind of down in this draw. But yeah, I'm kind of just doing a visual inspection on all of them and looking at what we have to make sure everyone looks good. And so far, it all looks good. I think they're nosing around a bit for something to eat, so we're going to give them something. But then we're just going to move on with our day. I need to... one thing is for certain, though, when it's like in negative 15 or something like that at the coldest today, and overnight, those dogs' GPS collars, the battery just doesn't last for anything when it's that cold. So I got to take them off, and they only lasted a day, and usually they last about 3 days on the highest setting, which is what I have them on, so I can get a good refresh rate and see what they're doing. But boy, it is significant out. But you know, it's only temporary. It looks like already by, you know, this coming Saturday we'll be back in the 20 and 30 range, and that's plenty, you know. When I chopped the water here, I'll give you an idea of how thick the ice was from this morning. Okay, so I chopped it this morning, and it already gave me 2 inches of frozen ice on top this afternoon. So I don't think we're quite as cold as George up north, but we're pretty damn close. It does not make me want to spend a lot of time outside, that's for certain. So I'm going to keep it relatively brief, and there's not much going on besides navigating the continued navigation of working things out with neighbors and making sure everyone's happy. And other than that, I'm just going to stay inside and not be out here. So animals are looking good. Everyone's behaving. Not a bad day, despite the weather.